Hi guys, it's been literally ages since I did a tutorial on YouTube last time, but here we go again. People on Instagram got to vote what tutorial they wanted and hair tutorial won by far, so thank you guys for voting. I would try to make it as simple as possible for everyone to follow regarding their art skills in digital art. So yeah, we'll go through all the steps. Also a few disclaimers which I think are quite important to mention. It doesn't matter what software you're using. I'm using Speedpaint in this video. You don't have to own it. You can use Paint-A-Sci, Paint, it does not matter. I use the default brushes which may have different names to the ones you have in your program. It doesn't matter. They are the default round brush, airbrush and marker tool. You can use any brush for it as long as it is not a high texture brush. Also I think what is very important, and I have to mention it because this happens at least one time, doesn't matter whenever it's a picture tutorial or a video tutorial, but don't get mad at me, don't get mad at yourself or other artists if your result looks different to mine. It's not the goal of this video to get a one-to-one copy, but show you one of 1,000 possible ways to color hair and hopefully for you to adapt something for your own art flow. So everyone holds the pen in a different way, which already has an impact of the look of your art, so it's totally fine. So now that I've mentioned it, I know this sounds ridiculous, but let's start with the tutorial. So I already prepared the base we will be working with, but will explain exactly what I did. If you're already familiar with the step, you just can skip it directly and go to the line art or even coloring steps. What I'm basically doing is filling in 3 different colors, each darker or lighter than the other one, to visualize the movement of the hair, the light source, which makes sketching hair way easier if you're drawing dynamic hair before actually starting to line art. So as I'm using the darkest color on the front, the hair underneath will be the lightest because my light source will be from the back. You have to use a high opacity brush for this step. I'm using the Yachty pen, which can be downloaded directly from Speedpaint, but you can use the binary tool or any other brush that has a high opacity. I also suggest to use 3 different layers for each color to kind of blend in and blend out and see how it looks. Sometimes you even get nice colors to work with later from it. This should be also very rough because yeah, we'll work with it later on. You don't have to be very clean. It's just a step to kind of get an idea how the hair should look like. So now that I think that it looks fine, I will go in and blend out to see how it changes. But I don't like the dark part in the front, so I will kind of erase it using the eraser tool. It's just a mistake I did, so you don't have to erase your drawing. So I'm done, kind of already prepared the base, colored in. This is an important step to kind of work on later so the colors match each other. Now I'm going to blend in the layer completely to kind of see how it will look like if I can use the same colors I use for sketching. And now that I've kind of got the basic shape, I'm going to line art using a simple line art brush. You can use any brush you've already used before. You don't have to follow my brushes. So I'm using a dark black to do this, just kind of freely sketching. And I'm going to speed up this step because it took a little bit. Well, not much, but I don't think you want to see me lining for around 7 minutes. Because the wind comes from the right side, the hair on the left side is going to kind of move a little bit more. As you can see, I already speeded up, so you don't have to watch the whole process. You can add different strains. You don't have to make as many as I do. You can do fewer, you can do more. It's totally up to you. So I would say the hair outlines are done now, kind of blending in the layers underneath before I fill in the nice rose color. And if you're coloring with a rose color, you just don't need to. So now that I had filled in the base color, I chose a few colors. What's good for rose hair colored hair is just basically going into a white shade, a violet, or sometimes a little bit reddish. So adding the darkest color in the front, as I already visualized before. You're going to add some darker here in the front. You can use the binary tool as before. You can do it different, but yeah, it's just an example. So I'm basically trying to get in all the front hair to be darker in shade so it looks more harmonious. But sometimes it's too much, so I'm kind of erasing a few parts that did not really match with each other. So now I'm going to add in a way lighter color because we know the light comes from behind. And kind of erasing because I didn't like it. So I'm basically repeating the steps I did before. Using the regular binary brush, you can use any brush for this as long as it has a high opacity. And re-add the darker parts. The front hair darker compared to the back hair. So you also don't need to be very clean with this. You can also add a few light sources from above using just basically the erasing tool or the lighter shade we will go down with right now. So, as already mentioned, the light source comes from behind, and adding lighter hair strands to it, it kind of gives a very nice effect. I really like it personally. You don't have to. You can use a dark color, it's totally up to you. But getting the basic colors in is a huge help for the later process. Let's compare it. This is the regular one. This is our base color. Kind of blending in and out to see how it looks. So now I'm going to add in a more less saturated color with a few parts so it looks more interesting. You can use any color you want. You don't have to use the same I do. Just basically telling you all the time you don't have to do what I'm doing, but yeah, of course you can use the different layer modes like multiply or overlay to see how it looks with each mode. Sometimes it looks way better than the normal one, and I think I would go with divide or just basically brightness. I would go with color. Though color looks the best. Just kind of get the layer opacity of 41%, so it does not really look that bright. Back to the second thing with the dark color on it, and we will kind of pick a color here and get a little bit more dark. So I'm creating a new layer underneath the lightest and above the base color using the airbrush soft tool to kind of give more depth. So basically those are the parts I added in. And again, you can use kind of the different layer modes because I kind of like the more pinkish look in this one. So you can now get the Mark II and add in more restraints, having more details in it, kind of blur it. You're basically going to repeat the step a few times until you're satisfied. You can always pick up the lighter color or the darker color to add underneath, above, but it's always kind of good to have different separate layers for this, so you can kind of, if you're doing a mistake, you can change the color or just basically blend it out. So I will add in a more dark color for detail. But always try to keep a track on the movement of the hair so it looks kind of working and not basically, okay, this is a whole mess. So just try to keep the most of the hair on the left side, just swing on the left side, then going totally on the right side because it will kind of look odd. So I'm adding more darker highlights to it because I personally like it. I'm blending in and out. You can also set the line out layer on a different mode, which I use color burn because it kind of works perfectly with the colors underneath and won't just be simple black, which I will later on do on the line art above. Adding a few more lighter colors, picking up, which just evolved using and blending in different colors, so you always have a huge bunch of colors that result from it, and you can just basically pick them and add them to make it more smooth out, because I didn't like the harsh lines from the hair underneath, because we know the light source comes from there and it looks just better. You also don't have to follow the sketch line art. You can also basically add a few more strands of hair to visualize, and if you like it basically, so it looks more freely drawn. But maybe it's just because my style is kind of messy, but yeah, if you do like the clean way, you don't have to. Basically outlining a few more and cleaning up a few more strands of hair using way darker colors, which goes into more violet reddish tone. Pink hair coloring is very hard, to be honest. Using the right colors and picking them kind of can take a little bit of time, but it's definitely worth trying out and playing around. So now that I've basically added in most of the colors, I'm going to make a new line art above on a new layer to just define it so it looks a little bit more clean. Please note, you don't have to do this step. I'm just doing the step because I have a more painterly style and I'm not a huge fan of doing clean line art to begin with. I've never liked it and I guess I will never ever like it. But yeah, I just enjoy a more dynamic line art, a little bit more sketchy than most maybe do. So you're totally fine to go directly with clean line art if you like it. So you just basically just have and can skip the step. What I basically am doing is to refine a few more parts in my art, and that's basically it. I really hope it was helpful to you.